Get out of there. Get out of there. No. Oh, get out. Do you see this? She's trying to pee in here. Oh, I have a mess. Hey everyone, a few weeks ago I chopped up my Monstera Deliciosa and my variegated Monstera Deliciosas, and I want to show you the progress that they've made in the past few weeks in terms of the cuttings. I want to show you the root development and successes, failures, things I learned. It's going to be a quick video, so let's get straight to it. So it's the end of September. This Monstera Deliciosa right here, I chopped up on July 29th, around there. You can actually see exactly where I chopped it right here, and I did a little video on that as well. But I think that will do it. Oh, that's satisfying. Since then, it basically started an entire new branch right here, adjacent to where I chopped it. And it actually started to, well, it produced one weird wacky leaf. And that tends to happen after you do chop them, is that the first leaf they produce after that point is a little strange, either smaller or doesn't have the fenestrations. Right after that, it produced a very nice, normal looking leaf. So I think it's back on track. Other than that, it's been doing fine. It's been growing as it was. So now I want to show you the cutting I made from right here. So here is the cutting I made, and with all my cuttings, I'm only propagating it with water. I've had a lot of success doing that. I don't tend to have problems. I know some people do sphagnum moss or just directly in dirt, but I find the best way to do it for me has been water propagation. I've experimented by adding like some liquid seaweed in different ones to see if it would help out, and I think it actually does help. It does provide some nutrients that the plant is not receiving at the time. But this is all the progress that the plant has made since I made the cutting on July 29th. And actually some roots are even emerging from the water above and then drying out, so I'll have to chop some of those. But this is more than ready to go directly in the soil. This is a really good root system, and it's almost circling the container that it's in. So this can definitely go in the dirt. It's ready to go, and it's also actually created an entire new leaf while it's been in the water here. So clearly it's happy, and I'm doing something right with this guy. So it's doing well, and now I want to show you my variegated versions. Okay, here is the Thai Constellation plant that I chopped up. I did this about maybe 5 weeks ago. So I'm gonna make a cut right about here. Boom, okay, and that's done. That's a good size cutting right there. I did it after I did the non-variegated version. It's finally setting out a new leaf, and this leaf is going to be tiny, but that's fine because I actually just chopped up so much of this plant that I'm happy that it's recovering anyway. So new growth, it developed from the side over here, and then you can kind of see where the original scar is over on this side. It's doing well, it's recovering essentially. But let me show you the cuttings I made from that, because I've had not mixed results. Overall, it's pretty good, but there are a couple that had some troubles. So I think I'll start with like the best one here. This is the cutting I made from the very tip of the plant. And this is from 5 weeks of rooting. It seems to be doing quite well. So this looks like it's also ready for soil. So I'll get that in a pot shortly. It's doing well. I change the water probably every 3 days. I've experimented with adding sea kelp or liquid seaweed in this as well. Seems to help. I haven't had any issues with it. There is some minor burning where the chlorophyll is missing from the very intensely variegated parts, but that's normal, and I may have also exposed it to a little bit too much light. There's a lot of windows in this room, so it does get quite a bit of light both in the morning and the afternoon. But I'm happy with that, and it seems to be doing well. I'll show you one of the failures here. This is one that I made. This looks like it's from one of the early leaves that that plant developed, and it had a really long aerial root, but it kept rotting. Ew, that looks gross. It kept rotting, so I would chop it until it got to the very end, and I'm like, well, I will see if this works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But this one is a failure. Here is another success that is doing quite well. Once you see roots, I really feel like you're in the safe zone. That to me tells me that this plant is ready to start growing, and it has the ability to take in nutrients and moisture, and that's very, very important because these can only last without moisture for so long, and then they'll start to wilt. I'm going to leave this in the water here for a couple more weeks, and I want a little bit more root development, but other than that, I'm very happy with it, and I'll just keep an eye on it. So I'm switching back and forth between like successes and failures. Here is the fourth cutting I made. You can kind of tell that this one is in bad state because the leaf is curling in and also the stem is starting to bend a little bit. That means that the leaf is not getting nutrients or water really. It has quite a long aerial root here. I don't see any rotting or anything like that, so maybe there's still time to get some roots. It's possible that I could still get roots from this one, but it does need to convert this aerial root into normal roots very, very soon, or else the plant will die. But yeah, I'll just keep changing the water on this one and hope for the best. And finally, this is the last cutting. This one's doing quite well. I have it in a very like tall and slender bottle because the root was quite long. I'm trying to see if I can bring it out here. Okay, one of the roots was kind of adhered to the side of the bottle, but that's fine. Here's the root development. I don't know if you can see it very well, but it's doing very, very well actually. All those white roots are very good developments. That means that it's ready to start growing. You can also see, I'll put up a zoomed in photo where it looks like there's something going to emerge out of the side of this stem here. So this does tell you that as long as you have a aerial root and you have a portion of the stem, you can grow an entire plant from just this. So it's a possibility. Sometimes you will fail like I did there, but this is a good example of one that's doing quite well. So I'm gonna put this back here. The roots aren't delicate, but obviously you don't want to be too rough with it. So those are the developments with the cuttings. Like I said, this normal Monstera right here had about 2 months of growth to develop all these roots. The variegated versions had about 5 weeks. So there is a bit of a difference between the development of the two, but also I find that cuttings from a non-variegated, just a normal Monstera Deliciosa are going to be a lot more robust. They're going to be quicker to develop roots, and just overall they're going to be healthier. Variegated plants tend to be more picky. They do have issues with getting sunburn, like I showed you here. Just keep that in mind if you are really set on getting a Thai Constellation or a variegated Monstera. If you're trying to propagate them, it may take you a little bit longer than it would if you were doing a normal Monstera. So like I said, these roots are ready to go, and I conveniently have a little plastic pot ready. I'm going with a relatively large pot, but actually it's not that large if you compare it to the root system. This is quite an extensive system, so I think this is going to be a perfect match really. So I have my soil mixture mixed already. A lot of perlite is in here, so I'll get that going. So I also have a bamboo stake right here. I know a lot of people use moss poles, which is perfectly fine. I just use bamboo stakes because they're just easier for me, and they take up a little less space than a moss pole would. So I have my cutting planted, I have the bamboo stake going all the way to the bottom, and now all I have to do is attach the plant, one of the stems, to the bamboo stake. I've been using these Ziploc ties, plant tags. I'll put a link to them on the description. These are really, really helpful actually because they don't dig into the stem of the plant, and you can wrap it very, very easily and adjust as you go. It's just Velcro, you know, just wrap it around and boom. It's really easy. I love these things a lot. In fact, I'll make it a tiny bit tighter. But as I said, as your plant gets bigger and bigger, you can always readjust the Velcro ties, and also you can add more as it gets taller. But right now that'll be good. It'll keep it from flopping over. I'll keep an eye on this aerial root that has developed as I've been propagating it. When it gets longer, I'm gonna try to force it into the soil, which will also turn into normal roots once I do that. And I also just wanted to thank my friend on Instagram, Rob02, who gave me this really cool shirt. It's actually done, I think, with bleach and a stencil, and I just love it a lot. So it seemed totally right to wear it in this video. So thank you so much, Rob, and I hope you enjoy seeing it on film. So that's it. It only took about 2 months to get a really, really good system in there. I could have planted it probably about a month ago, but that extra month really helped, I think. Now the plant will be getting all the nutrients and minerals that it needs that it wasn't getting before. So I think this will also give it another growth burst. I'm very happy with it, and now I have an entirely new plant, and the original plant is doing perfectly fine and putting out leaves as well. So I hope you enjoyed this update on my Monstera cuttings. It's been a lot of fun working with them, learning about what works, what doesn't. So if you learned something today or you have any questions, please write them in the comments and I'd be happy to answer them. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.